This was supposed to be one of the most exciting parts of the build, but it turned into my worst experience yet. Looking back, I should have just done it myself. As you can see, the metal sheets are finally on and the roof has officially taken its final shape. In this episode, I'll show you everything we went through to get to this point, and at the end of the video, I'll reveal exactly how much the entire metal roofing costs us. It was a bumpy ride, and for the first time since starting this build, I put the project in someone else's hands and hired a professional roofing company. But were they really as professional as they claim to be? I'll let you be the judge. Let me show you what happened. We were about to leave for a short family trip, so the day before we left, I visited the land to see how things were progressing. I was pleased to see the crew had started work early. They came highly recommended in a local community group, and the reviews from the previous customers were very positive. We had even visited the office beforehand, and everything seemed legitimate and professional. At that point, I had no reason to believe there would be any problems. So why did we decide to put this job into someone else's hands instead of doing it ourselves? The answer was time. By then, it was already late September 2025, and with the winter fast approaching, I wasn't confident I'd be able to learn the process and finish the roof in time. The roof had to be covered before the weather turned, so we made the call to hire a company. It was the quickest option we could choose. A few days later, we were back. The first thing I did was head straight to the farmland to check on the roof. I was super excited because this was a major moment in the build. The house was finally getting sealed from the top, and I couldn't wait to see the progress. We chose the brown color because we felt it suited for the forest surroundings perfectly, and we are probably going to match the windows to it as well. At first glance, everything looked fantastic, and I was genuinely happy with the result. We also asked the company to install a roof window to let more natural light come into upstairs. It'd also be pretty convenient spot check on the kids when they're outside playing. Unfortunately, I don't have much footage from this stage of the project, so you will have to bear with me. And if that wasn't bad enough, I managed to crash my drone right after recording these shots, so not only I was short on footage, but I was also short on one drone. When I entered the building, the first thing I spotted was several oily patches on the membrane, and that's when the alarm bell started ringing. My blood pressure was already heading into the wrong direction. Then I looked up at the roof window and immediately noticed what appeared to be a wooden frame. That was another major red flag, because we had specifically ordered a PVC window, and when I saw it had been installed using buttons barely 5 by 2.5 cm in size, I started to get seriously concerned about the quality of the work. I headed upstairs to take a closer look at the window and check how it had been installed. I was hoping it would put my mind at ease, but it did the exact opposite. Things just kept getting worse. At that point, I was seriously angry and I couldn't believe what I was looking at. It looked like the screw had completely missed the button, not exactly what you want to see. And here is another one. Maybe a slightly bigger button would have helped, I'm not sure. And then there was this masterpiece. It honestly looked like a beaver chewed on that piece of timber before they put it in. The brand new window was already damaged, or maybe the beaver came back for second shift. The apron flashing was damaged, and there was an actual hole in it. That's definitely not a feature. A brand new window fixed with a glue gun? It might have been a manufacturer's mistake, but at this point I was finding faults everywhere I looked. Then I turned my attention to the chimney. Once again, I'm no expert, but something didn't look right. I took as many photos as I could, so I'd have something to discuss with the company and hopefully find the best way forward. One thing that gave me some peace of mind was that I hadn't paid them anything upfront. At that point, I had already decided that I wasn't going to pay a single penny until the job was properly done. As if the rest wasn't enough, I eventually noticed that all the leftover rubbish had been thrown inside the house and left there. Apparently, cleaning up wasn't included in the service. To be fair, not everything was bad. The gutters and the downspouts looked decent, although one of them wasn't exactly straight. And from the outside, the roof looked fantastic. The real question was whether it would keep the weather out or just look good while letting it in. Then I climbed up to check the chimney from the outside, and I was genuinely shocked. Everything just looked wrong. Standing there, I couldn't believe that someone had a look at this and thought, yeah, job is done. I spent some time cleaning up and thinking about the best way to handle this situation. I didn't want to simply refuse to pay and walk away from it, because finding someone else willing to come in and fix all those issues would have been difficult and probably even more expensive. Over the next few weeks, we exchanged several emails with the company owner. To his credit, he eventually came out to inspect everything himself. He wasn't the person who had carried out the work, but after seeing it in person, he agreed that some of it simply wasn't up to standard. A few days later, his team returned to the site and spent several days fixing the issues. As far as I can tell, they tried to fix everything, or at least I hope so. So far, everything had been holding up well. There are no leaks, no visible problems, and the owner also provided a 5-year guarantee on the repairs. I really hope that's the end of the story, because those few weeks were incredibly stressful. In the end, they rebuilt the area around the chimney and sealed it properly with a flashing tape, replaced the roof window with a PVC model we had originally requested, and fixed all the issues you've seen through this video. And before you ask, yes, we still had to pay for all of this. So how much did it actually cost? We refused to make the final payment until all the issues had been corrected, which to their credit eventually happened. For the metal sheets themselves, we paid just under 8,000 zloty, which was a fair market price and something I had no problem with. For all the installation materials, timber, gutters, downspouts, screws, nails, and everything else needed for the job, we paid close to 9,000 zloty. Out of that amount, nearly 3,000 was for the window itself. And then the labor cost. It was around 10,000 zloty. To be fair, these were the prices we agreed to from the start, and we accepted the quote before any work began. However, considering how much issues we encountered along the way, it felt like a lot of money for the experience we ended up having. If I could go back in time, I honestly think I would have done the roof myself, even if it meant spending more money and taking a year to learn how to do it properly. I know there are many excellent roofers out there, and unfortunately, this just wasn't the experience we were hoping for. That said, everything has now been corrected, the roof is finished, and so far everything seems to be holding up well. I still have some concerns in the back of my mind, but there's not much point worrying about it now. Let's keep our fingers crossed that everything performs exactly as it should for many years to come. I hope you enjoyed this painful chapter of our build. One thing's for sure, from now on, I'll think twice before handing a job over to someone else. If you don't want to miss the next episode, hit that subscribe button, and if you'd like to support the project, you'll find a link in the description. Thanks for watching, and let's hope the next episode contains fewer surprises, fewer emails, and definitely fewer beavers. Thank you, Mark is out, peace.